Welcome to today's video, where we'll be exploring a common issue that many developers face when working with TypeScript, using a propertyPath object to access properties within an array. If you've ever tried to use a propertyPath object in TypeScript and found that it doesn't seem to recognize properties within an array, then this video is for you. In today's video, we'll delve into the world of propertyPath objects and explore why they can be tricky to work with when dealing with arrays. We'll discuss the key concepts and steps involved in using a propertyPath object and provide examples and analogies to help illustrate the points being made. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to use a propertyPath object effectively, even when working with complex data structures like arrays. So let's get started. So what exactly is a propertyPath object in simple terms? A propertyPath object is an object that represents the path to a specific property within another object. It's essentially a way of navigating through nested objects to access a particular property. However, when working with arrays, things can get a bit more complicated. Arrays are collections of values, and each value in an array can be thought of as having its own set of properties. But how do we use a propertyPath object to access those properties? The key thing to understand is that a propertyPath object works by traversing the properties of an object one level at a time. So if you have an object with a property called foo, and that property has another property called bar, then the propertyPath object would need to be configured to traverse those two levels in order to access the bar property. But what happens when we're dealing with an array? In this case, the propertyPath object needs to be able to recognize that it's working with an array and adapt its behavior accordingly. The problem is that, by default, a propertyPath object doesn't know how to handle arrays. This is where things can get tricky. Because a propertyPath object works by traversing properties one level at a time, it doesn't have any built-in understanding of how to work with arrays. And if you try to use a propertyPath object with an array without configuring it correctly, then it will simply fail to recognize the properties within that array. So what's the solution? The key is to configure your propertyPath object to understand that it's working with an array. This typically involves using a special syntax or notation to indicate that you're dealing with an array. For example, let's say you have an array of objects, and each object has a property called foo. If you want to use a propertyPath object to access the foo property within each object in the array, then you would need to configure your propertyPath object to recognize that it's working with an array. One way to do this is by using a notation like array, which indicates that the propertyPath object should traverse the properties of the objects within the array. By using this notation, you can effectively tell the propertyPath object to adapt its behavior and work correctly with arrays. So what are from today's video? Here are the main points to remember. A propertyPath object is used to traverse properties of an object one level at a time. When working with arrays, a propertyPath object needs to be configured to recognize that it's working with an array. Using a special notation, like array, can help a propertyPath object understand how to work with arrays. Thanks for watching today's video. If you've been struggling to use a propertyPath object with arrays in TypeScript, then we hope this video has provided some clarity and insight into the issue. Remember, the key is to configure your propertyPath object correctly, using notation like array to indicate that it's working with an array. If you have any questions or comments about today's topic, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you liked this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on TypeScript and software development.